when you working in a team in school, like everyone's always going to have different ideas, and I know you mightn't always agree and stuff, but you're all going for the one goal and you're all going to try and improve each other. So no, it is definitely very important to stay open to everyone's ideas.
Great. I hope you're all listening, or like, you know. William, how important it is to have that coach or mentor, like, you know, as you're moving on, like?
From a sporting context, I suppose it's very important to have a variety of coaches, from physical development to, let's say, a hurling coach and selectors. And I mean, all these people are just looking out for you and trying to develop you as a player and as a person. So I mean, for all the students here today, I would advise them to take on board a mentor, or listen to those who have expertise and who have all the experience of going through what they've gone through, because I mean, a mentor essentially is going to be looking out for you, have your best interests at heart, and I mean, you will need guidance along the way. So I mean, a mentor is definitely a must-have at this stage of your lives. Yeah.
Very good. Thanks for that, William. Jamie, we'll turn to you now. The second LIT person on the stage. Guess as president of LIT, I had to get that in. So the GEA now, it's a big network. Like it's a really super network. Like, you know. And one of the biggest challenges for the young budding entrepreneurs out here is how do you establish a network around you, people that can help you, coach you, mentor you, and I suppose, how do you find the GA network, and how does your club support you?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing there is support. Like any young innovator starting out, the main thing he needs or she needs is support in the product, or if they're looking for investment, it's all about support. When they go looking for it first. Like when we start out with our clubs, we go up, we're only 8, 9, 10. Our coaches are bringing us along. It's all about support and bringing us along that journey, coaching us and making sure we're on the right path. And we can relate back to you as young innovators that we just need support. We all come from fantastic clubs, but right now we're supporting Limerick. So when we leave our clubs and we know we go back to our clubs, the support is there for us, and while we're away, they're still supporting us. But while we're with each other inside, there's a 36-man panel. Between the backroom team, there's another 25 of us, and the support we have around each other is absolutely fantastic. So I think that's the main thing.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, and Kevin, I might turn to you now, like, you know, because it's not always a smooth path. You know, so life doesn't tend to be just to go off in a linear fashion. Like, you know, it's lots of ups and downs and bumps along the way. You know, all of you at some stage have got a knock. You've had more than enough knocks, you know, in the sporting field. Like, you know, so it's about that resilience, you know, and building that resilience. So I suppose the question for you is, you know, how do you get, you know, when things go against you, how do you bounce back? What's the secret to that?
I suppose, Vincent, as you said, I suppose setbacks and taking knocks is part and parcel of life, and be that sport or business or like the groups here today. So I suppose for me personally, one of the toughest knocks I had in a sporting context, anyway, was 2 years ago. I tore my cruciate ligament, so I was out for the guts of 12 months, and obviously for a sports player it's very difficult, you know, and I missed out and been on the Limerick panel that year in 2017, and you know, it was obviously very difficult. But I suppose to bring it back to the groups today, as I said, it won't always be plain sailing. There's always difficulties, but I suppose the most important thing is if you're focused and if you believe in your, I suppose as it is today, your group or your project and what the work you've gone to bring it to this stage, if you believe in that, when the setbacks come or when the knocks come along, that you have that resilience to keep going with it. And as Les mentioned earlier, you have that belief to keep going with it, and you believe in what you're doing. So I suppose that's the most important thing when those bumps inevitably come along.
Yeah, very good, and the best of luck for the future as well. Like, you know, yeah. So Pat, we're gonna end with you. Like, you know, everybody gets nervous, you know, when they're faced like these people here now are going to come up with new ideas today, and they're going to have to work together, and they're going to have to pitch it then to some of the you know, dragons and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure they will be nervous, like, you know. But I mean, I suppose, you know, what advice would you give to them? You know, someone who is nervous, whether it's running out in Croke Park but just so that you can give your best performance. How do you deal with those nerves?
Yeah, look, nerves are extreme. Nerves are very normal for anyone that speaks. You know, I'm nervous here, sitting down speaking. You know, but having all today is about good ideas. You know, and being innovative and stuff like that. I've come across smart people in school and in college, And just having a good idea is not enough, you know. You have to be able to get up and speak, and you have to be able to get up and talk. And like that with the hurling, you know, anything I've ever done anything good that's ever happened to me in my life has come from going out of my comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, everyone here can speak. Everyone here probably has a good idea. And if I asked you to say it in your room last night, you know, you'd have no problem doing that. But if you come up here, then you get a bit nervous and this and that, you know, that's okay. But when you actually do it and break through your comfort zone and go through the nerves, it's a great feeling. You get an unreal buzz, you know, like going out in Crow Park. And like that, a bit of advice, if you were to say what does set our nerves, to be honest, it's a pretty boring answer, you know. Just before we're going out in front of 70 or 80,000, if you were to say what does settle the nerves, it's the fact that what are you doing only playing a game that you've played 10,000 times already, you know? So whatever you're going to do here today or whatever you have to speak, you've probably thought about that idea loads and loads of times. So, you know, just don't doubt yourself and it'll be fine. Best of luck to you.
Well done. Well done, Pat. And yeah, so it is a journey, and you need people to guide you, you need people around you, and then you need to trust yourself. So, and great things can be achieved from that. So, and I suppose from a Limerick dimension, anyway, certainly it's been a great year. These are all fine young men and very articulate, as you see. So, you know, education is still important as well in that whole game. So getting that balance right as well, and they've all done that. So I'd really like to congratulate them all again, and on your behalf to congratulate the Limerick All-Ireland Hurling Liam McCartney champions. All right, lads, we'll head up. Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Well done, guys. Thanks a million.
And thanks very much. And strive for immortality.
Thanks, guys. Brilliant. That's excellent. Wow, it's so cool, isn't it? And again, the messages that all of our panels of speakers, everybody that's talking here today, we're just setting the scene. We're helping you to understand innovation, teamwork, leadership. Some of you guys are going to be up here talking later on today. So, you know, like what the guys were saying about being brave, being resilient, you know, going to Croke Park in front of 70,000 people versus coming up here, that you can do anything. Keep it simple. You've all spoken before. You can come up here and speak. It'll be grand. So, the next group is a group of young innovators and entrepreneurs, and I'm delighted to welcome, please, so Chris Kelly from Pinpoint Innovations, Kelly O'Brien from LIT and CDK, Ed Burke from RubyGo, Emma Deneen from Barkery Limerick, and Aveen Mangan from the joint EU Digital Girl of the Year as well. So you're very welcome to stage. Thank you. And I think I don't need them, yeah. Okay? So, yeah. So we have everybody here? Yeah. Emma. Oh, she's getting a mic. Okay, you're fine. Well, we can start, though. Okay, so one of the challenges that the guys are going to be working on here, the first step is looking at, you know, a problem to work on, looking at and then redefining that as an opportunity to work on. So just kind of, I suppose, with that in mind, maybe Chris, can you tell us about your business? What is it called and what do you do?
Sure, yeah. So hello everyone, my name is Chris. So I run Pinpoint Innovations for a company based in Limerick. So we do patient tracking systems for hospitals, but I think coming back to your point about starting off, we started off as building a dating app and completely pivoted. It was supposed to be, you know, a live Tinder version, something similar to that effect, and we completely pivoted within maybe 3 or 4 weeks of starting the company. Before that, even we were working in agriculture, so we've had quite a diverse level of industries. But I think it's not being afraid to adapt and to change is the most important thing with that. So yeah, that's Pinpoint.
Yep. And Kelly, so you work in LIT as a researcher, but you also are an entrepreneur working on some really cool tech in the security space. Maybe tell the group about what you do and also about the kind of challenges that you've been working on.
Yeah, so I've been working as a researcher in LIT for the last 5 years, and I specialise in artificial intelligence. We spun out a startup company there about 2 years ago from LIT based on an AI security system that detects footsteps by vibrations in the ground. And basically, I suppose one of the biggest problems that we found was that we, as the engineers, were assuming that because we had the know-all and the be-all, that we were going to tell our customers what they need and how they were going to do it. But that's not always what they want. That's not what people are going to buy. You have to solve their problems. You might have the best idea in the world, but is it feasible and do people want it? And the only way to tell that is to ask them, what's the problem and how can I solve it? And then you try to apply whatever your brilliant ideas are to that. So that would be my advice there.
Yeah, and you would say, like, so your system was able to detect, so it was hidden underground, and it was able to detect if somebody was walking across that ground, and then it would notify the security services that there was somebody had broken in. So if you were to develop a how might we statement, might it sound something like, how might we help Shannon Airport find intruders very quickly when the other systems fail? Something like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so because you're going to be working on your how might we statement next. Okay, so Ed. So Ed Burke, do you want to tell people about Rumigo?
Sure. Thanks very much for having me here today. It's amazing to be here.
Oh, can you?
Yeah.
Can you hear it? Yeah. Okay. Go on.
So I have a website which is about finding the right flatmates. So if you want, it's a little bit like Tinder for finding flatmates without the dating element. So I've lived throughout the world during my 20s, and I was always living in flat shares, and it was always very difficult to find kind of the right flatmate. And it's becoming a more and more important issue because the property rental crisis that is in Ireland isn't just in Ireland, it's pretty much in most major Western cities. So the issue is becoming more and more important. So the whole idea is to help people find the right housemates and then to be able to securely book long-term accommodation online. Because if you're moving to Dublin, you can't actually book a room on the current website, so it's like a long-term version of Airbnb as well.
Yeah. So again, if we were looking at how might we, so the big challenge is people are sharing flats and houses all over the world, so lots of you will go out and travel, right? So you want to go out and travel, and often you look at where you're going to live and how close it is to work or college or that kind of thing, but you don't often consider, well, who am I going to live with? So you're going to sign a lease, and then you don't know who you're going to live with. So how might we help people find flatmates that they don't want to kill or that they want to live with? And so that Rumigo is amigo, is that right? So
yeah,
it's kind of
a
play on a few names.
Amigo, yeah.
So again, you've got this big problem. We do have a big problem. You know, we hear it in the news all the time about rent, about finding houses, but you can't solve all of that. But what you can do is narrow it in and saying, well, how might we help people find flatmates, right? So a really good way to kind of bring that in. Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Delighted as well to have Aoibhinn Mangan here. And Aoibhinn, maybe can you tell the people here today some of your success story? Delighted that you're EU joint Digital Girl of the Year. Is that it? Yeah. Do you want to maybe tell people about what does that mean? So you were joint EU girl, is that and is that part of Coder Dojo, or what was that?
No,
Can you tell the group?
I got my title by promoting STEM and STEAM for girls, and also I was mentoring and running a Coder Dojo as well, and doing lots of programming with kids both younger and older than me.
Yeah, and you've got you're again really entrepreneurial, and you had a friend of yours that was going into hospital a lot. Can you maybe tell the group about what you did to innovate around that?
So my friend Grace has to go into hospital a lot, and most kids are afraid of hospital, and I want to change that because there's nothing really scary about it. So I made a project called Hospital Holly and Henry, which is like Scratch and Trace hospital doll game. To help kids not be afraid of hospital anymore by showing them some of the procedures that they do in hospital, like an x-ray or like getting a bandage or getting a blood test or needing a nebulizer or staying the night, and it will show you the people you'll meet there as well.
Yeah, so yours would be, well, how might we help somebody to not be afraid in hospitals? So you're giving them some comfort using the dolls that you've created for the hospital, isn't that right? Yeah. And so Emma from the Barkery Limerick. Emma, can you maybe tell people your idea and where it kind of came from, because it's really interesting.
So I make homemade and organic dog treats. So it all started when my aunt Caroline adopted a French bulldog who was really sick and he couldn't stomach shop-bought treats. So me and my aunt, we researched all these good foods for dogs and we came up with our own recipes, and George came on leaps and bounds, got better, and that's really how it started.
Yeah, so we're looking at a big problem. Everybody loves, their dogs or their cats or their animals. And, for a very long time, people would, when their dog got sick, for example, often the option was maybe put your dog down, or you were looking at giving them treatment that was hugely expensive. So to be able to now understand nutrition for animals, and then, so you were like, well, how might we help, ensure the dog has a pain-free life, and, get them the types of food that they need, because you can't buy it off the shelf. So you kind of looked at that bigger picture, and then you've been making them at home, which is incredible. And you've got a contract here with Shannon Airport, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I work with Shannon Airport. I was working with Aoife McLaughlin in digital marketing, and they took in a lot of treats for their security dogs, their dogs coming into the airport, the sniffer dogs. So we were working with Shannon Airport now.
Yeah, and so again, like all of these, how might we statements, very big problems connected to global problems, but each of our entrepreneurs here were able to kind of narrow down and say, well, how might we solve, a small bit of that? We can't solve everything, but we can do a small bit. And I think it's very important as well, just reflecting on what some of the guys were saying about tapping into your network. Any advice to the group today about using the mentors and advisors that are going to be walking around using the technology area? Do you have any advice about how valuable it is when you get advice for somebody? Chris.
Actually, yeah, so like the last time that we were here, we actually came out, as I think you had asked me to come out, and we came up here, did the talk again, and we actually ended up speaking to Cisco after. We ended up speaking to all the mentors. So we actually used it ourselves to go around and speak to all the mentors. So I think there's such an amazing network here today. There's people from all different disciplines, and there's so much experience in the room as well. So I think tapping into that, you can open doors and get recommendations and validate your idea quite quickly. I think when they're here, you might as well use them. And I think the caliber of people here as well is quite high.
And Kelly, you mentioned how important it is. So you might have an idea. So you guys might be working on your first idea, but being open to other people's input to make your idea better.
Definitely, definitely, because we all think differently. We all have a different kind of IQ, should I say. Some of us are visual thinkers, some of us are audio thinkers, and everyone has something to give, especially in a team. And when it comes to mentors and people with experience, you can learn from their mistakes, basically. So that would be my advice, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, being able to look at a big problem, Ed, like homelessness, like the rental problems that are around the world, and then being able to narrow that in to just a small, clear problem to work on is important, isn't it? How has that kind of helped you to focus and drive on, that you're just focused on that area?
Well, just in terms of like mentoring, some of the first advice I got is you have to be very focused. Because at the beginning, when I first had my ideas, I had loads of different ideas and I kind of wanted to do everything. But the advice I got from people was you have to be very focused and try to solve a specific problem, get that right, test that, get the feedback from mentors and customers. So I think my advice is to be very focused, and in terms of mentoring, it's crucially important. I think one thing I try to do is I try to build relationships with people for the long term, so not even for 1 year, but for life. And some of the best people I've met are, my first boss from 10 years ago is one of my best mentors, and I still get introductions to people. And so it's just to be really open-minded and to basically play the long game and just be really appreciative and open to feedback.
Yeah. And Aveen, so you've spoken now at Inspire Fest, you've spoken at big, huge conferences. Have you any advice to anybody here today on when they have to come up here and talk later?
Well, don't be nervous or shy, because people are still going to love you anyway. If you walk on or just run off, they're still going to clap and cheer for you anyway. So
that's true, isn't it? We'll all clap, won't we? Yay! And I suppose, Emma, just to kind of wrap up, you know, you've been working on your idea. You've been really good at tapping into support and actually taking action and going out and capitalizing on that. And if again, just any advice, because one of the key things today is being open and using the mentors in the room. So you've met some really cool people over the last few months to help you along the way. Would you recommend to people to be open today and take that on board?
Yeah, I'd say really listen to your peers and take their ideas into consideration. But with mentors, if you feel something is right, don't always listen to them. Just make sure you follow your own instinct as well and use your own mind to take this.
Yeah, that's very true. Okay, thank you very much, you guys. Thank you. Yay. Okay, so we're nearly back on time. We kind of ran over a little bit, but we're grand. So we're going to start the challenge. I'm just going to have a quick look at the time. We're good. We're going to start the challenge. Yeah, we're actually only 4 minutes. Not too bad. I wonder, guys, could you go back to the slides just where we introduce the challenge? Okay. So today we're going to be looking at challenges that are connected to the global goals for sustainable development. And each of the goals, so you guys are working on each table, or each colored table is a category. So we've got the future of education. So Bula Boss, big round of applause, future of education. The green tables are back there, okay? So the future of travel. Woo! And we've got, like, you know, for each of these sections, we've got some really cool people. I mean, we've Shannon Airport, obviously. We've got all of the airline companies. We've got Jaguar Land Rover over here, so go talk to them. You know, Dell. There's lots of really cool people for you guys to talk to. The future of city or rural living. Woo! Okay, the future of work. Yeah, the future of health and wellness. Yeah? And the future of consumption and shopping. Yay! Okay, so the first thing that you're going to do, so you have on your tables, and this is for the mentors and advisors as well, you have on your tables a Young Innovators canvas. And this is, as I said, a competitive innovation sprint. The first thing that we do, like what we talked about here, is we're going to go, we have these big problems that we got to work on. So we're out wide at the moment. The future of education, the future of travel. These are too big for us to tackle. A really good example that I might give you is there's a girl in County Limerick called Emily Duffy. And Emily was working as a volunteer in a homeless centre. And she wanted to, you know, to solve homelessness. So she would have said, how might we solve homelessness? But that is much too big for any one person to really even think about and start working on. So then she narrowed that down to something much smaller, having talked to people, heard their stories, you know, looked at news stories, and then she narrowed that down to how might we help a homeless person stay warm and be seen at nighttime. And then she was able to focus on that one particular area and innovate, and she came up with the duffel bag as a result of that. And now she's 25 employees, and they're all over the world as a social enterprise. So you can see where I'm going with this. And just like the guys like Ed with Rumigo, you can't sort out, you know, the rental problem, but you can narrow in on a specific problem, and then you can create a solution for that. For the first hour of this event, you're going to start storytelling within the context of your category. You're going to talk to each other, and the advisors and mentors are going to walk around and talk to you, and you're going to get as many stories as you can. And then you're going to narrow that in to your how might we statement. Then we're going to break, and we're going to have some keynote speakers from the Dragon's Den. Woo! And then after that, yeah, big bit of us. I'm looking forward to that. And then, so those guys are going to talk to you, share their stories, but then at that point, you should have your how might we statement. So that is your first kind of milestone this morning. Get your how might we statement ready, and then we're going to do the really fun stuff, which is the innovation. So really looking forward to that, and then we kind of go on through the day, and we'll be back up and down to give you tips. So John, I think you have a couple of tips for the guys for the day.
Yeah, I mean, the Dragon's Den, you've probably seen them on TV a bunch of times, right? What do they look for, right? So they're going to be looking for you to come up with a really big idea, you know, something that's going to make a big impact to the world, like it's going to affect billions of people, which means it can make billions of money, and they're looking for opportunities like that. So you need to make sure you're going big with the idea. Don't go small, go big. The second thing is, when you're pitching your event, and I think you heard it there in the last panel, you know, pick somebody on your team that's going to be passionate, that can speak, and that can really pitch your idea. Not everybody is comfortable doing that, so get ready for it. But when the person is going to do that, or maybe pick 2 people and tag team, but be ready to pitch your idea. Because if you have a great idea and you don't present it very well, you know, it doesn't work. So be as focused on presenting your event as possible. And I would say, be passionate about what you want to try and do. Like, you really feel that this makes a big difference. There's a great prizes on the line here, and you will, everybody here has a great opportunity to win the prizes. So let's go for it, and best of luck to everybody.
Yay. Okay, so the clock is starting. You guys start working, and I would encourage you to story tell. You've got questions on your tables to help the conversation get going. And these are from the Young Innovators Innovation Sprint, and we'll all be walking around and helping you out. So come to us, ask questions if you have anything. Mentors, advisors, get engaged. There's lots of people here to talk to, and best of luck to everyone. And we will be back here in 1 hour. It feels like a long time, but it is not. You've got 1 hour to get your How Might We statement ready, you guys. Best of luck.